The test pilot tightens his harness one last time. His visor reflects a runway shimmering under the Anatolian sun. Behind him, a team of 400 engineers holds its breath. For 12 years, they've poured everything into this moment. Calculations, arguments, sleepless nights. The aircraft beneath him isn't just metal and wire. It's a statement. A promise that Turkey will never again depend on another nation to train its fighter pilots, or to supply the Turkish Air Force Academy with advanced jet trainers. The tower clears him. He pushes the throttle forward. The single F404 engine screams to life, and within seconds, the nose lifts. On April 25th, 2023, Erkan Çelik takes HÜRJET into the sky, and Turkey becomes one of the very few countries on Earth to fly a domestically built supersonic jet trainer. But what most people don't realize is that this flight was never really about a training aircraft. It was the opening move in a much larger game, one that could reshape NATO's balance of power. Since the early 1960s, Turkey has relied on a single aircraft to turn young officers into combat-ready pilots, the T-38 Talon. For decades, the Talon did its job well. Thousands of Turkish Air Force pilots earned their wings in its tandem cockpit. But here's the problem. The T-38 was designed in an era of analog gauges and manual flight controls. Now picture a pilot who learned to fly staring at dials and needles, suddenly being told to climb into a KAAN, Turkey's fifth-generation stealth fighter, packed with digital sensor fusion, AI-assisted targeting, and an all-glass cockpit. Military strategists call it the pilot training gap. It's like learning to type on a 1960s typewriter and then being asked to operate a spacecraft control panel. The skills don't transfer. The instincts are wrong. The reaction times are dangerously slow. And this isn't a Turkish problem alone. The United States faced the same crisis and spent $9.2 billion developing the Boeing T-7A Red Hawk. South Korea built the T-50 Golden Eagle. Italy invested heavily in the Leonardo M346. But Turkey chose a different path. Instead of buying foreign, Ankara decided to build its own bridge, a jet that wouldn't just teach pilots how to fly, but how to think inside a fifth-generation cockpit. Get a platform designed from day one to mirror the digital architecture of the KAAN itself, including Lockheed Martin F-35 interoperability standards for sensor fusion and data link protocols. Every screen, every sensor input, every decision support layer, deliberately aligned with what pilots would face in frontline combat. That bridge has a name, HÜRJET. And the story of how it went from a PowerPoint slide in 2011 to a supersonic reality in under 12 years is one of the most underreported defense stories of the decade. But to understand why this jet matters, you need to know what happened behind closed doors. It started quietly. In 2011, a small team inside Turkish aerospace industries, known as TUSAŞ, launched a feasibility study using nothing but internal funds. No government contract. No foreign partner. Just a question. Can Turkey leap from turboprop trainers straight into the jet age on its own terms? The answer took years to crystallize. Engineers studied global programs, the T-50, the M346, the Hawk, and identified a gap nobody else was filling. The world had plenty of advanced trainers, but none were specifically engineered to serve as a stepping stone to fifth-generation fighters, while also doubling as a light combat platform. By August 14th, 2017, the project officially accelerated. Then came the pivotal date, April 1st, 2018, when Turkey's Presidency of Defense Industries and the Air Force Command signed the formal procurement protocol, certified for export through the Turkish Defense and Aerospace Industry Exporters Association, SASAD. HÜRJET was no longer a concept. It was a national priority, as TUSAŞ made a critical strategic decision early on. Don't reinvent the engine. Instead of spending a decade developing a power plant from scratch, they selected the General Electric F404 turbofan, the same engine family that powers the F/A-18 Hornet. The same power plant integrated into Saab's Gripen ecosystem, enabling seamless NATO interoperability, and South Korea's T-50, a combat-proven, NATO-standard engine certified under NATO Air Training Command standardization protocols, with a global supply chain. This wasn't just a technical choice, it was a geopolitical one. A NATO-compatible engine meant any future buyer could integrate HÜRJET into existing logistics networks overnight. This freed TUSES to pour every resource into what truly mattered: the airframe, the avionics, and the Aselsan integrated fly-by-wire architecture and sensor fusion suite. And here's a detail few people know. The flight control computer was co-developed with a TUSES engineering team based in Malaysia. Turkey wasn't just building a jet, it was building an international aerospace network, partnering with Malaysia-based engineering teams and integrating Rolls-Royce engine alternatives for export variants. But the real test was still ahead. April 25th, 2023. TUSES facilities, Ankara. The weather is clear. Wind minimal. 2 flyable prototypes sit in the hangar, alongside a static test airframe and a fatigue test specimen that has already been bent, twisted, and stressed far beyond anything the jet would ever encounter in real flight. In static testing, the airframe was subjected to loads it would never experience in service, proving its structural integrity before a single wheel ever left the ground. Prototype number 1 is rolled to the runway. In the cockpit sits Erkan Çelik, TUSES' chief test pilot. He's flown dozens of aircraft types, but today is different. Today, every data point, every sensor reading, every structural analysis from years of ground testing is about to be validated, or contradicted, in a matter of minutes. The engine spools up. Tower gives the green light. Çelik releases the brakes. The F404 roars. The jet accelerates down the runway. 100 knots, 130, 150, and then, smoothly, the nose wheel lifts. HÜRJET is airborne. Inside the control room, telemetry screens light up. Altitude climbing. Flight control system responding perfectly. Hydraulics nominal. Your engine parameters stable. The engineers who spent 12 years on this aircraft are watching numbers scroll across their monitors, and every single one is green. Çelik pushes the aircraft through its initial flight envelope. Gentle banks, controlled climbs. He tests the responsiveness of the fly-by-wire system, feeling how the digital brain translates his inputs into precise aerodynamic movement. Everything is smooth. Everything is nominal. Minutes later, the jet descends. The landing gear deploys. Çelik brings HÜRJET back to Earth with the kind of precision that only comes from total confidence in the machine. As the wheels touch down and the aircraft decelerates, his voice comes over the radio. Calm, steady, absolute. All systems performed flawlessly. The control room erupts. But the real shock comes in the months that follow. In just 30 months, HÜRJET completes over 300 test flights, a pace that stunned the global aerospace community. For a brand new supersonic platform, that tempo isn't just fast, it's well above world standards. And someone in Europe was watching very, very closely. Before we continue, if you believe homegrown defense innovation is the future of air power, write HÜRJET in the comments. Let's see how many of you are paying attention. Now, let's talk about what makes HÜRJET far more than just a trainer, because this is where the story takes a turn that caught NATO planners off guard. HÜRJET's performance envelope speaks for itself. Mach 1.4 top speed, a service ceiling of 45,000 feet, and 8G maneuvering capability. Those aren't trainer numbers, those are light fighter numbers. HÜRJET's combat variant, designated HÜRJET-C, is a supersonic light attack aircraft capable of carrying nearly 3 tons of ordnance. Think about that. A jet originally designed to train pilots can be armed with a 20mm gun pod, advanced targeting pods, and a full suite of Turkish-made precision munitions. Air-to-air, it carries Gökdoğan, Turkey's beyond visual range missile, and Bozdoğan, the infrared-guided short-range interceptor. The Gökdoğan integration alone transforms HÜRJET-C from a light attacker into a cost-effective air defense suppression platform. It can lock onto threats before they even see it coming. Air-to-ground? The munitions list reads like a catalogue of Turkey's drone war success story. For MAML and MAMC smart munitions, The same weapons that made Bayraktar TB2 famous worldwide, plus Roketsan Sirit and UMTAS missile families, Tubatak SAGE's precision guidance kits, HGK and KGK, and even the long-range SOM cruise missile, an advanced jet trainer carrying a cruise missile. Let that sink in. Military analysts are calling HÜRJET-C the jet speed evolution of Turkey's drone doctrine. Everything that worked with unmanned platforms, precision, economy, versatility, now flies faster, hits harder, and reaches further. This versatility is what caught Spain's attention. In a decision that sent shockwaves through European defense circles, Spain, a NATO and EU member, chose HÜRJET over South Korea's T-50 and Italy's M346 to replace its aging fleet of F-5 trainers. The deal was formalized at the FAINDEF Defense Fair in Madrid, signed between TUSASH, Airbus Defense, and the Spanish Ministry of Defense. The initial order covers 24 to 30 aircraft, with a potential total of up to 45 units. Deliveries are set to begin in 2028. But here's what made Spain's choice truly historic. 3 factors sealed it. First, industrial partnership. TUSASH didn't just offer to sell jets, they offered to build them in Spain, integrating Airbus and local companies into the production chain. Neither Korea nor Italy could match that offer. Second, technological edge. Spanish defense sources openly stated that HÜRJET's avionics architecture was newer and more flexible than both competitors. Third, and this was the decisive blow, the naval variant. Turkey is already developing a carrier-capable version of HÜRJET designed to operate from LHD-class assault ships. Spain's flagship, the Juan Carlos I, is the sister ship of Turkey's TCG Anadolu. By choosing HÜRJET, Spain effectively gained access to a future supersonic naval jet with zero R&D cost. Neither the T-50 nor the M346 could offer anything remotely comparable. And Spain isn't the only one watching. Already attracting interest from regional air forces, including the Pakistan Air Force, HÜRJET is expanding beyond European NATO markets into South Asia's defense corridors. Subscribe now and turn on notifications, because what we're about to reveal about HÜRJET's role in the future of NATO doctrine is something you won't hear anywhere else. If you've made it this far, you already understand why this story matters. HÜRJET is a threshold moment in Turkish aerospace, and here's why it matters for the rest of the world. The knowledge base that Turkey built with Hürkuş, its turboprop trainer, has now graduated to jet class. The aerodynamic design philosophy behind HÜRJET was developed in parallel with KAAN, Turkey's 5th-generation stealth fighter. The cockpit layout, the sensor integration logic, the digital flight architecture, a pilot trained in HÜRJET is being conditioned step by step for the exact environment they'll encounter inside KAAN. This isn't just training. This is doctrinal cultivation. TUSASH has announced plans to reach a production rate of 2 aircraft per month after 2025. The Turkish Air Force is scheduled to receive its first operational HÜRJETs in 2027, starting with an initial squadron of 16 aircraft. And with Spain's order kicking in from 2028, the production line will be running at full capacity for the foreseeable future. But the real strategic significance is this. HÜRJET is the connective tissue of Turkey's entire defense ecosystem. It will train the pilots who fly KAAN. It will carry the munitions built by Roketsan and Tubatak Sage. It will land on TCG Anadolu. And through the Spain deal, it has cracked open the European defense market for Turkish aerospace, something many analysts said was impossible. Consider the high-low mix doctrine that modern air forces are adopting worldwide. High-end assets like the F-35, or KAAN, cost tens of thousands of dollars per flight hour. Using them in low-intensity conflicts is a massive waste of resources. HÜRJET-C fills the low end, supersonic speed, precision strike capability, at a fraction of the cost. It extends the lifespan of expensive 5th-gen fleets while delivering the same lethality in permissive airspace. And there's one more detail that military analysts are quietly discussing. HÜRJET's digital backbone is being designed with future compatibility for autonomous loyal wingman operations and unmanned swarm coordination. In other words, the jet you're looking at today might one day command a fleet of AI-controlled drones from the cockpit. That's not science fiction. That's the roadmap. On April 25, 2023, when Erkan Çelik lifted HÜRJET off the runway, it wasn't just a new aircraft taking flight. It was Turkey's fifth-generation vision, and its global aerospace ambitions, becoming airborne. Spain's decision proved it wasn't just a national dream. It was a product the world was ready to buy. What happens next could redefine how NATO trains its pilots, and how smaller air forces project power without breaking the bank. If this breakdown opened your eyes, smash the like button and subscribe. In the next video, we're going inside KAAN, the fifth-generation fighter that HÜRJET was built to serve. You won't want to miss it.